Twisted Wonderland is a dating sim without the dating, because instead of dating, the developers decided to put in trauma and therapy. Except it's you giving the therapy and never getting any therapy yourself. But if you want to get meta, it's you giving therapy to the player base, while you never get any therapy for your copium addiction. That at all made no sense, and I'm not sorry, but because I'm attempting to keep your attention, let's start from the beginning. Twisted Wonderland is a narrative adventure JRPG. The App Store is a terrible source, so let me plagiarize Wikipedia instead. Twisted Wonderland is a Japanese mobile game created by... this is taking too long. Most videos just start from the beginning and stuff to fill in time, and I refuse to do that, except when I do in the future. Twisted Wonderland is a visual novel, but also not really. The player character, you, get it, has basically no control over the story, and most visual novels at least pretend to give you a semblance of choice. Twist just drags you through their mud, putting you in mortal danger that gets undercut by the fun rhythm game and party at the end. Yeah, you heard that right. There's rhythm games in your visual novel, but not really a visual novel. Twist is split into 5 main modes. Story, where you get to experience fun hijinks, ranging from having fun in a cooking class to the literal end of the world. Rhythmics that are either so easy I could do them in my sleep, or red and blue ones, or the evil purple that came from hell. Battle mode, where you get to command high schoolers to battle, a guest room where you can invite your friends, and, like any other family-friendly game, some good old gambling. Look, it's a mobile game. No one is safe from predatory monetization. But I know who's watching this, and I know you're still going at Genshin Impact and Project Sekai. You cancerous. Now, the best way to play Twist is to read the story and ignore everything else. Really, the other gameplay modes are just kind of there to justify it being a mobile game. The rhythmics are just okay, and the music for the most part isn't really all that noteworthy. The battle mode is fine. It's a pretty easy turn-based experience with elements and stuff, but at a point it just kind of turns into a numbers game. Some spells do have effects, ranging from easy enough to bullshit that shouldn't exist. There is a separate buddy system where certain characters will grant some cards buff, but that's just there to make you gamble more. And as you can see, it works. The guest room's good for anyone who likes that stuff, but for meta slaves like me, it's just another way to increase my power level. We all got the boring stuff out of the way, let's talk about the real meat and potatoes here, because this never was about the video game. This was really just an excuse to start summarizing the story. Kinda. But because I will assume that there's someone out there watching who genuinely doesn't know what the hell Twist is, we will just be sticking to the prologue, because I'm very nice and kind. Yes, as she. The main character, you, suddenly wakes up in a coffin one day, which definitely has no implications, and after nearly getting roasted alive by a magic cat, realizes that they've been isekai'd. In a shocking twist, it wasn't from our Lord and Savior Truck-kun, but by some random carriage. I'm sure this has no implications. Crowley, the most incompetent man in existence, finds us as we're running away from the magic cat, Grim, since he's trying to kill us in order to steal the robes we woke up in. Apparently size is a concept foreign to him. Crowley uses a whip, kinky, and introduces himself as the kind headmaster of Night Raven College, because of course you've been isekai to a high school. Why is it called a college? I don't know. By the way, it's Magic College. And do you actually have magic now? Were you called into this world to save it from the deep, dark, evil demon prince of the hells? Coincidentally, it's orientation day, and the dark mirror is here to judge your soul, seeing its qualities and the attributes so it may place you into one of 7 dorms: Heart Slabial, Savannah Claw, Octavinelle, Scarabia, Pomfiore, Ignihide, and Diasomnia. Since you're the player, instead you have to choose where you want to go, and choose carefully if you must. This choice is irreversible and will have an impact on the rest of the game. So remember what I said earlier about visual novels? What were you expecting? You have no magic, and everyone is losing their minds. While everyone is shocked, Grim breaks free of Crowley's toy and starts breathing fire. And obviously the best way to convince someone to let you into their institution is to commit mass murder, which he fails at like the goofy little goober he is. Crowley, out of the kindness of his heart, tries to send us back home. But he's suspicious as hell, and we were also isekai'd, and did you really think it'd be that easy? But, you know, he says, he could use some child labor. So he makes you a janitor and kicks you out to the fittingly named ramshackle room, haunted with ghosts and the nightmare of any safety inspector who doesn't take bribes. After trying to stop the rain from leaking in and flooding the place, a grim jump scare occurs. But this time he doesn't kill you, for some reason. Now, Grim was kind of an asshole to you, and he did nearly kill you, but Pretty Privilege wins out, and you've become his henchman by way of his overinflated ego. But he's a cute enough cat thing, so all is forgiven. Come the next day, and we find out something very funny. See, I've been leaving out something. It isn't just Twisted Wonderland. It's Disney Twisted Wonderland. So, some Disney villains are here. Except they're dead and become historical figures, and they've been remembered as fantastic rulers and heroes instead. Each of the 7 dorms is based off of their ideals, or spirit, as they say. This is very important, and I dare say quite interesting. There is a legitimate question being asked here about history and the way we remember it. The 7, as they're called, are revered as legendary and like ideal role models to aspire to, their true deeds having been wiped out of history. Yet, perhaps the way they are remembered now does more good because they are so admired, because no matter how fictional a story can be, it still inspires. But the way things are remembered in history can perpetuate prejudice and can prevent actual problems from being solved. So when these villains have their stories remembered so differently, does this cause more harm than actual good? And who and why are the motivations to keeping this image of these villains? These are just some of the things I've come up with at the top of my head, and it really is an interesting theme to play with, I think. By the way, the game never talks about this at all. The closest to anything about false history we get is all the way in book 6 of the game's story. Maybe some vignettes, but I'm not digging through those. To be fair, though, I suppose this sort of interpretation can only work if you have background knowledge that they are Disney villains. And while us, the player, does have that, the main character, you, is written like an alien who has never heard of Disney in their entire life, and frankly, I envy them. Now that you're the janitor, and everyone hates you for being magicless, all the while you try to find yourself a way home, you can have as much fun as you possibly can. Anyway, that's as much story as you need to know. It's only like the first 10 chapters or something of the game. Go play the rest or read a translation. I would just recommend a translation since the English version of the game does remove certain nuances, but at the same time, there is always that, sense of I'm playing the game and going through the story as my own pace rather than reading someone else's words. Do whatever one you prefer. The English translation is honestly not that bad, and there are some absolute banger lines in it. However, there is something we haven't talked about, and that's the characters. Oh boy, the characters. So you remember how I said story is the reason you're even here? That was also a lie. You're here for the characters, and the game wants you to be there for the characters because how else are they going to get you to gamble? By the way, don't spend money on gambling, and because I'm assuming who my demographic is at the very moment, don't be tempted to steal your parents' credit cards. It's not worth it. You shouldn't risk being thrown out over that, please. There are a grand total of 22 characters, so instead of going in depth on any of them, I'll summarize them in like a sentence. And if that's too much for your monkey brain, then here is a tier list that is totally objective and that the comments will definitely not flame me for. And to be clear, all of them are some flavor of asshole, but it's still really good, trust me. Wait, did I just imply that these characters are like food and they're all assholes? They're asshole flavored food. Did I just, you know what, let's not go into that too much. Ace Trapala is a 16-year-old boy, and it shows. Spade is as dense as an egg and must be protected at all costs, even though he can definitely kick your ass. Trey Clover is an entirely normal guy. Kater Diamond is your average TikToker who follows trends as quickly as he gets depressingly lonely. Riddle Roseheart's the legalist until he realizes that maybe capital punishment isn't the best idea for dealing with people who eat Hamburg steaks on Tuesdays. Leona Kingstaller is highly misunderstood and desperately needs love and affirmation, and I will not hear another word about it. And then again, he did try to punch your teeth out, so maybe he doesn't actually deserve it as much as you think. Reggie Bucci can and will drain your funds, but at least he'll be charming about it. Jack Howell is the buffest tsundere ever, and is also very cool. Azul Ashen Grotto is very insecure and will make it your problem right up to when he's made you his slave labor. Floyd Leach's mood swings times 100 and should not be as smart as he is and will make it your problem. Jay Leach would kill you and your family if he could get a bunch of mushrooms for it. Kelly Malazim has never done anything wrong, but also kind of is toxic positivity 101. Jameel Viper deserves better and will make it your problem, right up until he's enslaved you. Phil Schoenheit was a child actor and is still an actor, and it shows. Just don't mention the wrinkles. Rakant is the best character, and I will fight you on that. Epil, you can tell him he's cute and get beaten into the ground. Well, at least you'll know what being ground beef feels like. Idiot Shroud is a Discord moderator. Ortho Shroud is nice until he decides that half the school needs to be eaten up by a laser. Malleus is constantly being forgotten about and will make it your problem. Did I mention he uses lightning as a way to make it your problem? He's cool. Simp. I don't know why he's here, but I appreciate it. He forgot to start a retirement fund, And that's Twist in a nutshell. Please don't look at the comments telling you that I cut 80% of everything. I also don't have an outro, so you will never have a reprieve for my voice. Thank you for watching.